Well. Here we are, red day recap. Boy, how the tide has turned. Easy come, easy go. From up $115,000 yesterday on Euro to down this morning, 28,000 on SCKT, and down another 8,000 or so on XBIO. What a way to finish the week. It was wild. I started today in the red, 12,000. Second trade, down 28,000. Two big losses. Third trade, XBIO, started making a little bit back. So on XBIO, I ended up making 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 8,000, 9,000, then was up only 7,000 on it, then finished up 14,000 on it. So being up 14,000, I'd cut my loss on the day from 28,000 in half. That's a victory by itself. And then I went for one more trade, and I lost $22,000 on that trade. And in that, I gave back the 14 I just made on XBIO and finished at max loss on the day, minus 36,000. It's disappointing. It's very typical to have big red days on Fridays, and we're going to talk about why during the recap. It's also very typical to have big red days that follow big green days. On big green days, you get aggressive, I tend on a big green day to get aggressive, to trade really well, make some great money, and then on the next day, I come in charged up, aggressive, and ready to keep pedal to the metal. Sometimes that works, and for that reason, sometimes I have huge green days, back to back to back to back, because I keep getting more charged up, more aggressive. And then I'll have a red day. That's the way it almost always is for me. At the end of the day, that strategy of increasing risk and being more and more aggressive when the market is hot and when I'm getting positive reinforcement from the market of being up $100,000, that long-term has paid me really well. But today's one of those days where while we had some good momentum on Wednesday, and I was up 50, and then came in Thursday, sized up even more and was up 115 on Euro. Friday, I came in, sized up even more, and gave back. So I gave back 35% of what I made yesterday. It's a decent amount, but I'm still finishing the week in the green. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes it is 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. So, yesterday we call it 3 steps forward. Today is 1 step back. All right, so it is what it is. I don't want to throw more good money after bad and lose more today. If the market is not hot, if the market is not giving me the resolution that I was looking for, that I thought we might see, then the best thing for me to do is to cut my losses, cut it all off the table, go to cash, so my account's in cash, and be patient. I'm gonna have to sit with the loss of $35,000 through the weekend. I'm not gonna try to make it back today. But coming on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, hopefully we see some good opportunities. And if we do, I'm not even gonna be thinking about this loss. I'm just gonna be focusing on capitalizing on those good opportunities. And I will have the confidence because I will see when we have good opportunities. I'm just gonna see it right in front of me. I'm gonna see the setup and I'm gonna take it. And next thing you know, I'm gonna look over at the P&L and it's gonna be up 14, 15, 16, 20, 25, 30, 40, $50,000. So I try to remind myself that today's loss, while in this moment doesn't feel good, a week from now, it's gonna be water under the bridge, just like skinning your knee. The $23,000 loss on Monday, and then the $15,000 that I lost on Tuesday, it was $40,000 red in 2 days. Well, I just did basically that same amount in one day. But I did it in 2 days, and it was already water under the bridge when I made $50,000 on Wednesday. That fast. Now trading, easy come, easy go, like that. It's going. And for me, it was about 20 seconds. It was one trade where I sized up too much. I kind of lost my center. I took way too much size. I think I was thinking that if that last trade was green, that it was going to put me from down 14,000 on the day to up on the day. And it would have. It would have. With the position that I had, if we had gotten the resolution I was looking for, it would have. But it wasn't really the right move to take that level of risk. And so that was a little bit of a lapse in judgment to be that aggressive that late in the day when I was still red on the day. That's a Hail Mary pass. You know, you're trailing by 5 points, you've got 10 seconds on the clock, and it's a Hail Mary pass. If it works, you're a hero. And if it doesn't, you're a zero. So unfortunately, that was the story today. And if that's not a reminder of how risky trading is and how many emotional traps there are in the market, then I don't know what it would be. So I encourage you not to blindly follow me or anyone else. I encourage you to trade in a simulator before you ever traded real money. And I want to remind you that my results, whether profit or loss, are not typical. Trading is risky. Take it slow. Please hit the thumbs up for the Red Day recap, and I'll see you first thing, recharged on Monday. See you then. All right, everyone. So going to do my recap, Red Day recap. It's Friday, and I was green on XBIO, but just went red on it. I was looking for that trade through 475 right here, the break of 475, and it was a flat top setup. So we had 1, 2, 3 attempts at that level. And then right there, just that rejection. You know, it's tough because it's a good 5-minute setup. And unfortunately, when something drops 70 cents in one candle, you just don't have a lot of option when you're in high, except just to cut the loss. So I'm red in my main account, and I'm red in, let's see. So I'm red in my retirement account. No, which one is this? This is my retirement account. So I'm actually green in my retirement account and red in my main account. I got them mixed up. So yeah, so anyways, that's where I sit. It's a red day for sure. Don't love that, but you know, that's part of trading. And yesterday was a great green day. So I was up over $100,000 yesterday. You know, on this one, we had some great opportunities on it, and I traded it, as you can see, well in my main account. And then that last trade right there, that was just one trade, and that was the loss right there, one trade. So, you know, I don't know, maybe it comes back up, but what I was looking at on this was the break over 40, and then I was adding for that squeeze right here. And I was holding through the micro pullback, which I looked at as a micro pullback right underneath the flat top, for then the break and the squeeze up to 5. And so, you know, unfortunately on this one, when it broke 50 and then back to 40, I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a second, and ended up just flushing right down to 401 before, well, you can see here, bouncing back up to 42. It's always hard to know whether the right move is just to hold and give it a chance to bounce back up. But it seems to me that when I do that, I end up then stopping at the bottom of this sort of flush, because I do like I'll panic exit. I'm just like, whoa, this is dropping way too much. I'm in with too much size. I got to just bail. And, you know, here you go. It's back up 40, 50 cents. I mean, if this thing ends up breaking 75, I'm going to feel like, how am I the guy that managed to lose money on the setup that was so clear? Well, it was a false breakout right there, and a false breakout right here, and a false breakout right here. So sizing up going into a level that had already been rejected twice is risky for sure, and I was already not having a great day. So I actually went down this morning on SCKT and on but twice. So I lost on it in both my retirement and my main account. And then I recouped the loss, basically cut it in half with this profit on XBIO, and then went back to down 10,000 more than what I was down previously. So someone asked earlier, you know, how do you know when to throw in the towel and call it a day? You know, when you have something like XBIO squeezing up, it feels like, you know, you should trade it. And I struggle with that, with the answer to that, because on the one hand, I made back half my losses. I cut my loss in half. And that was, right here on these trades, I cut my loss in half. And then in one trade, I lost back, everything I had just made in the last hour of trying to make some losses back, plus another 10,000. So down 36,000 on the day is probably the biggest red day of the month. Not totally uncommon for a large red day to follow a big green day. Usually when I have a big green day, the next day I come in aggressive, which makes sense because I had a really good green day. And when day 2, day 3, day 4 are also strong, that's when I end up having 4, 5, 6 really big green days in a row. And I can do really, really well. But this is what can also happen. You have a big green day, you come in the next day aggressive, swinging hard. And if the market's not set up and it's not strong enough, well, then you end up catching some big size losses. And that's what ended up happening today. So it's disappointing, I would say, for sure. But you have to take that with a grain of salt relative to the profit on the week. So let's see. So on Monday, I lost 23,000. Then on Tuesday, I lost 15. So I was down, let's say 40,000 on Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I made 50,000. So that put me up 10,000 on the week. And then yesterday, I made 100,000. So that put me up 110,000 on the week. And so now being down, well, just even round up to 40,000. If I'm down to 40,000, I'm still up 60,000 on the week. So, at the end of the day, it's been a good week. Has it been a bit of a roller coaster, starting red, going green, and then finishing red here today? Yeah, it has. But that's part of trading. And we know that trading is risky. And we know it's easy come, easy go. In a matter here of 30 seconds, I went from down 10,000 on the day to down 35,000 on the day or whatever, right? So 10 seconds. Got in just a little too high and, got stopped out on that flush. That's how quick you can lose it. And I suppose just as quickly you can make it. But we know that while there's a lot of opportunity in a volatile market, more traders will find themselves on the losing side than on the winning side. And so today I'm on the losing side. Well, hey, I'm green in this account, but really marginally. That's in my retirement account. And then here in my main account, I'm just in the red. But I actually at some point today got the two accounts confused. I don't know when that happened, but at some point today I got them confused because I actually thought this was my retirement and this was my main account. So it doesn't, not that it really matters, except that it's a little bit better because when you lose in your main account, you can write that off against the income that you produced in the main account. When you take a big loss in your retirement account, you're not writing it off against gains because you don't have any tax in the retirement account. So it's actually better this way. So that adds a little bit of a silver lining. It's not one that is the best, but hey, you find something positive in a loss. That's a good way of coping with it. So anyways, that was XBIO, a stock that had no news, but that made this kind of big move. And my first trades on it were in my, as it turns out, retirement account at $3. So right in that area, traded it from 3 up to 4, made 14,000. That was solid. And then came back for, that one trade right here, that second attempt. And look at this, see this right here, you can see it's coming back up. This is where the market can really kind of drive you nuts because you feel like, man, I should have just held. I'd be back to break even here. I took a $22,000 loss on that trade. Oh, but maybe not. See, that's the shiftiness of the market and how quickly it can change your emotions from, oh, I should go long. Oh my God, I'm getting stopped out a second time, a third time, a fourth time. I suppose it all speaks to not overstaying. You're welcome. Trading less. So, today my equity curve is going to look like red and then made back half the loss and then in one trade to max loss. And that's it. So this account's below the max loss, which I have set at 20,000. This one's not below the max loss, so I could keep trading in it, but I'm not going to. I don't like to lose more than $20,000 because $20,000 is my daily goal for profit. So I don't want to lose in profit more, lose in a red day more than I would make in profit in one regular good day. So that's XBIO, stock with no news, but kind of became the most popular and biggest moving stock today, although choppy, as you can see. And SCKT was the one that I lost on this morning. My first two losses, which put me down 28,000, were both on SCKT. Extremely disappointing. Just, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But the first loss was a $12,000 loss on this false breakout right here. And then the second loss was a $16,000 loss right there at the open. So those are my two losses on SCKT. Just really, like you can see, it was a pretty choppy day. ACOR, another stock that was choppy. This one popped up and then sold off, as you can see right there. MDGS was super choppy. Some days are like this. Trading is hard, and some days are a lot more difficult than others. And this was a day where we had a lot of volatility, and it was really, it was hard because we would just get these nice, a nice move up, and then the whole thing would retrace all the way back down to as if it never happened, and then back up, and then back down again. So that's a tough market to trade through. And in hindsight, today's a day where I'm going to say, I wish I had stopped sooner. If I had, I would have an extra $10,000 in my pocket, or maybe even 20,000, depending on when I had stopped. But when I saw that momentum on XBIO, I jumped on it and I traded it really well. And then, so I guess the challenge here is I took too big of a position on that last trade. Taking too big of a position there on that attempt at 75. Maybe at that point I should have said, listen, you're back to flat in this account. And then I guess I switched here to try to kind of cut some losses in this account. Just take it slow. And instead, I just kind of went for that big trade, the rip through 75, up to 525, 544. And, today's a day where trading past my max loss cost me at the end of the day, but it didn't until that last trade. So that's where you have that mixed messaging from, sort of positive reinforcement of, okay, you traded past your max loss and you made 14 grand. And then, but the last trade was down 22. So, I lost an extra 8,000 or whatever. So it's just, it's very, very, very tricky to know conclusively what is the right decision and at what point to walk away. Because, if I'd walked away down 28,000 and then later someone said, hey, see what XBIO did, I would have looked at it and thought, man, I for sure should have traded that. Look at that move from 250 to 480, 475. I wouldn't have imagined I could possibly trade it and end up losing on it. It's such a big move. How could I possibly trade that and end up losing, $8,000 on it? That's not, there's no way. Well, I just showed you how it's done. It can happen. So we speak and talk about FOMO a lot. We're going to have FOMO Friday session at 1 o'clock today with Ted. It's one that I highly recommend for you guys. I struggle with this, and I've been doing this for a long time. It's just not something that goes away. It's something you're always going to be working with. You're always going to be facing it. And you'll have periods where FOMO is hitting you harder and it's more difficult. And you'll have periods where it's easier to kind of brush it off, but it's always there. And that's one of the things that makes trading so difficult, because that's not something that ever goes away. No matter how many years of profitability you have, no matter how much money you've made. I've had a great year, and yet I still each day have to struggle with this, and we all do. And in the small account, the approach of one trade a day definitely eases the emotions for sure. But there's no way I would be up as much as I'm up this year in my main account if I was trading only one trade a day. There's just, I mean, there's no way. It's just not even close to possible. So I'll just log in to my metrics on the main account and just kind of show you. So let's see. So main account, I haven't imported any trades for the month of July because I just wanted to kind of not look at July and just focus on, you know, taking good trades and let the profit be what it is. So for this year, I've taken so far 4,000 trades, 4,140 trades. You know, so you take the total gain, gross profit, as of the end of June and we'll do net profit after fees and commissions. So, you know, $2.12 million, divide that by 4,140 trades, I'm averaging only $512 a trade. So if I took only one trade a day, there's only 250 trading days in the year. So that would have me averaging $128,000. Well, probably if I took just one trade a day, I would probably make more than $500 on average per trade. I'm sure that I would. So I guess that math doesn't really mean a whole lot, but I don't think there's any way that I would, well, let's do the math that way. So right now I'm tracking for, let's say $4 million on the year, divided by 250 trading days. So I'd have to make $16,000 in each trade on average in one trade. I just don't think that's realistic. That's too big of a winner for one trade. It's not impossible. I do have $16,000 winners, but to have that be my average one trade profit, I don't know. That seems unlikely. So I don't know. Just thinking out loud on the one trade day thing, definitely a good way to combat emotions as a beginner trader. Even as an experienced trader who is needing to press the reset button and kind of go into trader rehab, I think that it's a really good idea for that rehab period, say one trade a day until I get through this kind of just stressful time. Whatever's triggering that FOMO, it could be a million things, but whatever's causing me to get so aggressive and emotionally impulsive and revenge trade, just to break that streak, I've got to just do one trade a day for 3 weeks. And then start with 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day, just to press the reset button and start to recover. I wouldn't say that that's something that I need to do right now in my main account. I had a good week. Sure, I was red on Monday and Tuesday, but I had a great day yesterday, a great day on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday were terrific, made 150,000+ in 2 days. And, today giving back a little bit off the top, but still been a great week. So I think that for me, the area that requires that extra level of discipline is knowing whether or not I should walk away when I hit the max loss. And because sometimes I'll hit max loss, keep trading, and finish the day green, that's probably the worst thing that's happened to me in my career. Hitting max loss, continuing to trade, and finishing the day green, because it has ingrained a very conflicting message about max loss. What's the point of having a max loss if you'll trade past it? And why have a max loss if sometimes you trade past it and then finish the day green? Is it actually serving a purpose? So that for me is the biggest struggle, is whether or not I should have one, and then if I'm going to have one, whether or not I'm going to actually respect it and follow the rules of it. Capping losers is very important. That's part of the statistics of being profitable. Minimizing the red days, keeping the damage as small as possible, not letting it get bigger and bigger. And today, had I been able to have someone, watching over my shoulder or something, maybe that person would have been able to say, hey, okay, dude, you went from down 28,000 to down only 16 or 15. Why don't you cut your size from 50,000 share max position to like 10,000? Start reducing share size. And I didn't. I went into this with 45,000 shares and I lost 50 cents, and that was a $22,000 loss. Just like that, it's gone. So I don't know. I share this with you. If it's helpful, it's helpful. If it's not, it's not. But these are the things that I think about when I'm trading. At the end of the day, it's a loss. It's a red day. Maybe don't have to read into anything more than that. Hey, it's a red day. Deal with it. Move on. That's part of trading. We all have losses from time to time. But I think for me, one of the ways that I handle the losses is by trying to derive a lesson from them, if possible, to give myself that critique and that kind of criticism of this is where you made a mistake, this is what your problem is, this is what you need to do better. And so that's where this sort of internal dialogue that becomes a recap comes from. And I don't have a system right now. I mean, I guess I could do it today, and today could be day one of a new kind of system. And I'll just write it down here. So today's date is the 23rd. So I'm just going to title this max losses. So 723. Hit minus 12K. One more trade. Then minus 28K. Traded a lot to minus 15K. Then big loss minus 38K on the day. So maybe I'll start taking some notes about what happens when I trade past max loss. And if I start, because right now I have my feelings about it, but I don't actually have the metrics to know. I mean, could I go back and look at every day that I've been red? Sure, but that doesn't even tell me about all the days that I was red and then finished green. So I think starting to take notes about the max loss days and trying to then, if I'm going to make a decision like I actually stop trading when I'm below a certain amount, it's based on some actual data points, not just a feeling. Because the whole feeling problem is that the market gives sometimes a positive reinforcement for a bad behavior, like it sort of did today. Positively reinforced me when I made $14,000 on XBIO, gave me confidence, made me think I was doing well, and then I went back in for one more big trade and then got smoked. So I need to kind of get a better sense of overall, if we look at over the next 6 months, 10 max loss days, how many of them resulted in me finishing the day deeper in the red or in the green? And if we find that 90% of the days where I'm at my max loss, I finished the day deeper in the red, then that starts to say, this is the proof right here. This is the proof to stop doing what you're doing. And right now I don't have that because I know there have been enough times, and today could have been one of those days. If this had ripped through 475 to 5 with 40,000 shares, I would have been green today, right? I would have gone from down $28,000 to green. And I think that's probably, knowing that was a possibility, if that trade worked for me, was one of the reasons I was as aggressive on it as I was. But in any case, I'll start taking notes on that, and we'll see. We'll see if that teaches me anything, or if I learn anything from it. So I don't know. Anyways, that's it for me. So it's Friday, and so typical to finish the week sort of with a little bit of a FOMO setback because of the emotional stakes of wanting to finish the week strong. You want to finish the week on a green note. You want to feel good about yourself over the weekend. That means Friday was a good day. So the stakes were high to try to finish today green, and I failed. I failed in my small account. I failed in my main account. I failed in my I failed in my main account, and whatever. I call it failed all across the board because this is negligible. So anyways, the fact is I have to be patient. I'm not going to make back these losses today. I know, just like I made back the $40,000 I lost on Monday and Tuesday, with one fantastic momentum stock on Wednesday with Neuro, I can easily do it, but the market has to be there. And XBIO, I just wasn't able to really position myself to crush this one despite a big move here, because I was already kind of with my back against the ropes, having been down 28,000. So I started slow, and then it was up a lot, and then I was chasing it, and it just kind of fell apart from there. And SCKT was just gross. That was just a terrible gap and go. ALZN was a bad gapper. So the market today was soft, and I did the best I could on XBIO, but expecting fireworks out of it was probably not realistic. So anyways, that's it for me. It's a red day recap. I hope this is helpful for you, and I will see you back here first thing on Monday morning, a new week, and it'll be the last week of July. So we'll try to finish the month without letting things go off the rails too much. While I could look at myself as being down 38,000 off my high of month in a very narrow window of between yesterday and today, that's true. I could also look at myself as just closing the week up $60,000, and I'll come in next week and see if I can add a little more profit to the end of the month. So that's the reason that I'm not importing my trades every single day, because when you do that, you're constantly benchmarking yourself of yesterday's, where you sat yesterday. And I think that that's too much of a micro view of a P&L equity curve, because it really is about the big picture. This is a marathon, not a sprint. You're gonna have some slow days, you're gonna have some red days. A month from now, none of them will matter, and they're all water under the bridge. My $23,000 loss from Monday is already water under the bridge, and the loss from today will be water under the bridge by the end of next week. So it's not worth getting bent out of shape about. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I'll see you guys on Monday.
I hope you really enjoyed that video, and make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Our goal is to hit 1 million subscribers this year, but we won't get there without your help. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button.